Hello and welcome to Talking the Game as Bournemouth take on West Ham United on Saturday, 3 p.m. kickoff. Back to the old school fixture that we all like. Gonzo, let's start with our opponents as always. What's your opinion on the Cherries?
Good attacking team. Eddie Howe, a lot of respect for him. Plays good football. They started the Premier League like they wanted to win it. They're going to finish it like they want to remain in it. And they always buy good young players, and they've continued to do so very recently with the acquisition of Solanke.
Mike, what's your thoughts on Eddie Howe and his side?
Well, I think Eddie Howe is the main best thing about Bournemouth. I think he's a really, really good manager. They've got a great coaching setup. Let's face it, they've done phenomenally well. Stadium which holds, 12,000 people. And nothing team, no disrespect to Bournemouth that have now established themselves really as a Premier League force. So well done to Bournemouth.
Yeah, I really like them as well. I enjoy watching them. I really like Eddie Howe as a football manager. I like their sort of the way they go about the transfer market, trying to buy young English players. I like that about them. They do have to pay over the odds, but if that's what they're going to go after, young English players, they're just going to have to always paying the extra 25% tax on the player for whatever reason. Thoroughly enjoyable, really good players as well. And Mike's right, they're now an established Premier League team. They're not in any danger of getting relegated. They're probably not going to hit the European spaces. They're going to linger in the mid-table. Their season will be fine. You know, it's lost its spark a little bit. It started with a bang and it's going to go out with a little whimper. But the question is, how long can they stay motivated, if you like? Because usually it used to be like an old Tony Pulis conundrum, wasn't it? You hit the 40-point mark and then you just sort of breeze through to the end of the season, not really picking up much points. How keep them motivated? Can he try and entice them to get into top half? I think he can, actually. And I think there'll be one side that are in and around the 10 spot at the end of the season. Gonzo, are you surprised by their slide? They haven't been picking up much points recently. Lost 3 of their last 4, and the other game was a draw, for example.
Yeah, I think I am surprised by their slide, but we've got to mitigate that with the fact that I was surprised by their early season form. So the truth, as always, is somewhere in the middle. They're on 27. I think I looked before. I think it was 27 points. And that's pretty damn good, because if you've got 27 points in January, you ain't going down, because they 10 more realistically, and that's that. They're safe. They've had a little dip, but I think anybody, apart from the very, very top clubs, does have a dip. It's just Bournemouth seems to have gone on for a little bit longer than we'd expect, and hopefully, obviously, it goes on for one game longer.
Mike, Bournemouth obviously kick-started the transfer window at the Premier League out of anyone, really. They really got dived into it pretty quick. Solanke coming in for 19 million and Klein coming on loan. How did you rate that business?
Very Bournemouth, isn't it, to go for the younger player in an attempt to bring them through. They've got a habit of getting younger players, especially from the lower leagues. You look at, I think Brooks looks like a real buy, doesn't he, that they picked up, I think, from Sheffield United. He's a really, really good all season for them. I think Solanke's got real potential. I don't know whether he's there yet, but they've got time to bring him through in bits and bobs. They've got a couple of good strikers already as well, haven't they? I assume they've signed him as a striker, so as opposed to a wide player. So I think he was a really good signing. It's a very Bournemouth signing. They really like their younger players to bring them in rather than the sort of bigger established players. So. I don't think it's sort of something we'd go for, but it's very Bournemouth, if you know what I mean.
Mike, you just mentioned a couple of positions there that they've got good players in, but who are the good players at Bournemouth, you and Meyer, as a neutral, if you like?
I'm a big fan of Callum Wilson. You remember that hat-trick he scored against us at the Old Upton Park before he got horribly injured, and he's back now, playing very, very well again. Ryan Fraser, I like a lot. He's in my fantasy team, but he does do really well. The problem with a lot of Bournemouth players like Ryan Fraser and especially Joshua King are then very hit and miss. They either have great games or they disappear, in my opinion. Do you know what I mean? While Callum Wilson and David Brooks tend to be a lot more there every game, making some kind of impact, even if they don't win the game. Do that make sense? You know what I mean? They've got a little, they can disappear. You also know that because it's against us, Junior, Stanislas is going to play and score a goal, don't you? Because it's just bound to happen.
Last question on Bournemouth, Mike, for yourself. You mentioned Callum Wilson a couple of times there. If Marko Arnautović was to leave, a lot of West Ham fans wanted Wilson. We're probably being priced out of it, but hypothetically, would you like to see him as a replacement for our Austrian should he depart West Ham?
No, I think he's a good player, but it'd be wrong for us. He's had bad cruciate ligament injuries in both knees, and he's a little bit one-dimensional for me. We need someone. I mean, he's a good player. Don't get me wrong. I'm not in any way taking him off. But Bournemouth fans are watching this. I think he's a really good player. But I think for the way we play now, we would need someone with a little bit more technique than Callum Wilson, who's really a finisher.
Interesting. Gonzo, what about yourself? Which players do you admire from the South Coast?
Well, Brooks has obviously been mentioned, and obviously everybody likes Wilson. King is decent enough, although perhaps not with the outright class of Wilson. I think the thing that goes unheralded is probably a backline. I include the goalkeeper, and they've got a very good goalkeeper. And if they've added Nathaniel Klein, then they've got Klein, Cook, Nathan, Aki, and Smith. They're no mugs at the back. I think it's a good, solid foundation. So I'm surprised that they've conceded as many as they have. Not so convinced on people like Ryan Gosling and people like that. Lerma, I think they paid big money. Not sure if it's either him or Solanke's their record signing now, but they paid big money for him. But they've got good players. They've got good players. I like that. I like that model. You know, I like the way they go about their stuff.
Brooks and obviously a Scottish thing for Fraser for me, but Brooks is one I really like. It's interesting to see if he can make the step up for the Championship. He's not just made the step up; he's blown the step up out of the water. He's nailed that first team position. He's doubled his transfer value already in such a short space of time. He's exciting to watch. He's very direct, not afraid to take a shot for such a young player as well. The other player I liked who's injured is Lewis Cook. I've always liked him in the Championship. He did what Brooks has done as well. He came up, took his opportunity. He just got injured at the wrong time, unfortunately, because there's probably arguably a gap opening up in the England squad for someone like Lewis Cook. And but when he comes back, I'm sure he'll get his England caps one day, and it won't be long until he's back as well. Callum Wilson as well is a fantastic striker. I think he's one of the best strikers outside the top six. He's got 5 goals against West Ham. He scored no goals against any other Premier League side other than the Hammer, so he'll be well up for this one. Anyway, let's talk about West Ham, and from their striker to our striker, Gonzo. You know, we can't really talk too much about changes to the 11 after beating Arsenal, so let's go to the one at the very top of that team, which is Arnautović. A lot of focus is on him. He's still here. He's been in training as always, etc. Do you expect him to start this game, Gonzo? And what kind of Marko Arnautović are you expecting to see?
I'm hopeful of seeing a fully motivated Marko Arnautović. If he's not in the starting lineup, though, do not assume that it means that he's being sold. I think sometimes when you build your hopes up that much for a transfer, and I said earlier on a video on the second channel, on the forum channel, that if it was a load of old rubbish when his brother came out and said this statement that he wants to leave and go to China, Arnautović would have come out and basically smacked his brother on the bum and said, no, you know, he didn't. He shouldn't have said that. He didn't correct him. There were no amendments. So we have to take it as gospel that what his brother said was the truth. And that's that Arnie wants to go and play in China. So if what's happened is he wants to go and play in China, but we've turned down a bid and no other bid has come back in, it looks like he's staying. We then have a player who possibly doesn't want to remain with us. So we've got two things. Either he's going to knuckle down, he's going to be absolutely brilliant to try and show the Chinese club or anybody else that they should come in and take away, or he's been sulking. And we don't know what's going to happen yet. So I think if he's not in the team, it may be, you know, the worst of the two options. I wouldn't be surprised to not see him in, particularly with Chicharito training. It's a lot for any player to have all that sort of stuff on their mind and then come out and play. I'm hopeful we see the Arnie that was player of the season last year, and he plays within that great team structure that we saw in the game against Arsenal.
Gonzo, do you give us your prediction? Do you think you will see him starting?
No, I've got to say, and I don't know anything, but I've just got a hunch. I don't think he's going to start.
Interesting. Mike, what about yourself? What do you make of the whole Arnautović thing? Not necessarily transfer news, but Saturday's game, Marko Arnautović. What's your thinking?
I actually do think he'll play. I think you will see Marko Arnautović in the team, and I think he'll play well. I'll go with the other option, Gonzo, to be honest with you. I think he'll turn up, he'll play, he'll give his 100% best, and because he's got a little bit of a point to prove, and he has got a huge ego. The guy's got an ego the size of a bloody Australia or something, isn't he? He's just like, he really loves strutting his thing, and you can't strut your thing on the substitutes bench or worse still, left at home. And he will want to go out and prove a point. even if he's not going, even if he is going, and well, he probably wouldn't be playing them, but I don't think he's leaving. I don't think he's about to go. Personally, I don't think anyone's going to put in the approved offer. I'm happy with that. I'd much rather he stayed. But this week, yeah, I think he'll play.
I think so as well, Mike. I think he'll play. I've seen a few people. I mean, Gonzo mentioned this in a transfer video earlier. A lot of people were criticising Arnautović against Arsenal, saying his body performance, etc. I thought we've seen the normal Marko Arnautović. I didn't notice anything at all when I was watching the game, etc. And I think we're going to see a highly motivated one on Saturday. Whichever angle you look at it, he has to be motivated. If he wants his move away, he's got to earn it on the pitch. He's only going to do that by scoring goals, etc. If he's not starting, Chinese club and other clubs may be looking, thinking, why is he not starting here? What's going on? Is there an issue, etc.? So they've got to start him. And if he wants to stay, then we'll see a motivated Arnautović. Whichever way I look at this, I can only see a motivated Arnautović. Gonzo's right. He hasn't come out and said anything about the Chinese move, but I don't think it's a Chinese move he's after. I think it's more money he's after, and that's why he's not said anything. I don't think it's the move to China he wants. It's the extra dollar. Now, whether that's a Chinese club, whether it's at Stamford Bridge, which is unlikely because of Higuain now, or whether it's remaining at the London Stadium, I don't actually think he minds where he plays. I think he'll happily join any club. Whoever offers him the money gets their Marko Arnautović for the rest of his career, potentially. I think that's what we'll see on Saturday. He's also going to be up against what is a very shaky Bournemouth defence. As Gonzo said, they're conceding a lot of goals. This is a defence Marko Arnautović should be licking his lips at playing. I think he will be on Saturday. Mike, what did you make of Samir Nasri? I mean, is this a guy, he got his start against Arsenal, played very well. Is this a guy that's sort of transforming how West Ham could play, fitting the Pellegrini mould slightly more?
To be honest with you, Gonzo, Gio, sorry, I'm amazed. I'm amazed that he came in and played so well straight off the bat. I must admit, I was a bit baffled by the whole, we're going to sign Samir Nasri, and he hasn't played for 2 years, and he always looks a bit injured and slow towards the end of his time in the UK anyway. And do we really need him? And he turns up and he looked really, really good. You know what I mean? He looked like a really good player. I was really thrilled with how well he played. So I think he's a shoo-in. I think once again, our manager has proved that he knows exactly what he's doing. Brought in a player for nothing, who he's got fit, and his backroom team have got fit, and looks like a real addition to the team. A point when we really need someone creative in midfield, given our huge array of injuries.
Gonzo, a week ago, we defeated Arsenal 1-0. All 11 players are fit and ready for Saturday, as well as Fredericks and Hernandez with another week of training under their belt. Gonzo, would you like to see any changes to the 11 that started against the Gunners?
Only what I discussed there. I mean, I'd keep it exactly the same. I just would be mindful of how Arnautović is trained. That's all. If he's trained well and his mind's on the job, he goes in and he keeps it. If he's been on the sulk, then I would possibly switch it around.
If West Ham United pick up 1 point on Saturday, it will be their 15th away point of the season, which will equal last season's away point haul already, despite being halfway through January. It just shows how far we've come. Mike, are you confident for this one?
Do you know I am? I didn't know that. That's a great stat, isn't it? That is a great stat in our away points. It really does show how far we've come. And I still think that we've still got the best to see from this side as they start still gelling together. Yes, I am confident, yeah.
Why are you so confident?
Because I think there'll be goals in the game. I think that we can attack well, and I think Bournemouth aren't a particularly good defensive unit, even though they've got good players, especially the defensive midfield element of their game. And I think that we are probably the more assured side, and I think we'll win. That's why I'm confident.
Why are you so confident, Mike? What would you consider to be our weakness? If we were to lose the game, what would you expect to be the reason that we've lost?
I would expect it because we haven't finished our chances and or we haven't kept them out. I think they will score. I just think we'll score more. I mean, they're traditionally high-scoring games, Bournemouth West Ham games, so they have been over the last few seasons, especially down at their ground. So I would think that there's going to be a number of goals here. It's a question of who holds the other team out the best, if you know what I mean. I think both teams can score goals.
Gonzo, what about yourself? Are you as confident as Mike ahead of this fixture?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah. I don't know how confident Mike is, but I may be more confident than him. I don't know. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Very, very much so. As a real marker was laid down against Arsenal, I feel, mate.
Apart from some of the obvious Gonzo, what makes you so confident ahead of this one?
I think Klein. It's a very good player. I mean, Liverpool will be really regretting they let him go because, of course, Trent Alexander-Arnold, who's a fantastic player, has got an injury and is out for 7 weeks. They're probably regretting that one, but he's not played a lot of football, and he is going to come up against one of the most informed players in the league in Felipe Anderson. Also a Felipe Anderson who's going to be reinvigorated by the fact that he's got Samir Nasri in the team, who sort of seems to have free roles to be drifting and playing all these sort of passes and creating all sorts of space and all sorts of very, very simple balls. He also, Nasri, he's brought something to our team which is absolutely marvellous, and that's slowing the game down, as all top players do. They seem to have space around them. They seem to be able to play the game at their tempo. And when it's 1,000 miles an hour, and Bournemouth like to play the game at 1,000 miles an hour, it can just take the sting out of the game, slow it down, and as we saw in the Arsenal game, just lay off a lovely pass. I think Antonio is in tremendously good form. I think Declan Rice looks like the second best defensive midfielder in the league, which Brooks is a very good player. We all rate him highly, and he's not been playing wide. Stanislas played wide in the last game. Brooks dropped deep into that area between the midfield and defence. Well, you know what? That's where Declan Rice is the lord of the manor in that area, and I just think we're going to have too much for him.
Yeah, I'm quite confident as well, actually, for the reasons you have stated. We're playing well. The link-up play, our new signing Nasri, looks like he's been here for months. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I don't rate the Bournemouth defence as much as Gonzo's alluded to how he rates them earlier in the show. I don't think they're that great. I think Howe needs to spend quite a lot of money stitching up that back four, actually. I think they've got one or two good defenders. I think Daniels and Smith used to be really, really good. I think they've both sort of slowed down progress a little bit, hence why they've gone and got Klein in as well. And I think we're going to take advantage of that one. Even our fullbacks are in good form. Zabaleta and Creswell, we've had that week from Arsenal till now, so there's no concerns whatsoever over Zabaleta's fitness. Ogbonna got a clean sheet under his belt against Arsenal. Looked good. He was our weak link. He's no longer weak. He probably still is our weak link to an extent, but he's got something about him, if you like. The only thing that concerns me is, like you two have said, this is going to be a very end-to-end game. I think both goalkeepers are going to be busy. Both centre-backs, or all four centre-backs, if you like, are going to be tested from out wide, from out deep. The thing with Bournemouth West Ham is they both have the ability to mix up. They can come in various different ways. And I think this is going to be a real test for the defences. And it's going to be, it might actually be a case of which defence can sort of stand tallest on Saturday will win the game for their team. And I've got a feeling that will be our one. The Betway bet, the charity bet, Betway have £50 on this one. If the bet wins, it goes in the pot, with the pot getting doubled by Betway at the end of the season. All the money goes to Isla's fight. Now, the Hammers Chat bet this weekend is an optimistic one. It's Arnautović to score and Brooks to score. So go from those two goal scorers, 3 corners or more for each team, and West Ham pick up at least 2 yellow cards, 16-1. So it's a big bet. So if you fancy it, head over to Betway. If you fancy the other thing, Gonzo, if I said to the name to you, Hooper, would you know who I am talking about?
Hooper?
Yes.
No.
That is the referee on Saturday. You might not know who he is because this is his only 5th ever Premier League games. He's quite inexperienced at the top level, and it's a tasty fixture for him to take charge of a fixture that usually has goals, cards, red cards, penalties, handball goals, etc., etc. But anyway, Mike, may I get your prediction, Mr. Confident?
I think we're going to win 2-1.
2-1, interesting. I've got a feeling that might be a popular scoreline. Gonzo, are you going to go for 2-1?
I'm not going to go for 2-1. You know, I mean, Bournemouth may well be in 12th, but you have to go down to 16th to find a team who have as bad a goal difference as they do. I think we're just going to be too much. I think we're going to win 3-1.
Interesting. I'm going to go with Gonzo on this one, actually. I'm going to go for 3-1 as well. I think we've just got far too much about us. We've got goal scorers on the bench as well, so that's the big difference between the two sides. But anyway, drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it. If you're a Bournemouth fan, you probably haven't enjoyed it very much. You might have enjoyed the first half. We were quite complimentary. Then it turned. Subscribe if you're new around here, and we've got more and more videos coming. We've got loads of videos coming up in this transfer window. So stick around, and we'll see you in the next one.